Welcome back, folks. As you probably heard by now, big things are happening over at Xbox, with Phil Spencer retiring, Sarah Bond going out, and a new CEO being appointed. The new CEO being Asha Sharma, who was previously the president in Core AI product, where in her own words, she led the product portfolio for AI models, apps, agents, responsible AI, and developer tools for customers worldwide. Also previously, she was the head of product for Microsoft's AI platform. Of course, the moment this was heard, people had some opinions about it, being that, well, AI is involved in the sentence, and to be appointed by the Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, who is very famous for his love of slop. So connecting all of those dots together, and the public sentiment right now is, well, under major uncertainty. But let's look at this from a broader perspective to see what we can actually expect and why this decision is not really a huge surprise for a lot of people, including me. Speaking of Xbox as a brand, it wasn't doing all that well lately. Studio closures, releases which don't really meet expectations, even though some are very enjoyable games, like for example the Outer Worlds 2 is really good. I enjoyed it, but being priced at $70 does not help its case at all. Now Xbox has a solution for you, being Xbox Game Pass, where you can play all of these titles which have been developed by Microsoft day one for a monthly sub. Good deal. Well, it was, but subscription services for games are a lot more complicated than movie and series ones like Netflix. Production of most AAA titles takes a long time, 3 to 4 years in actual production, not counting in pre-production. So you supplement it with third-party studio deals or fundings with timed exclusivity, or maybe you develop some smaller titles. But if all of that, cannot currently hold a profitable amount of subs and running a service becomes even more expensive, you must increase that price, and that's exactly what Xbox did, which results in even more cancellations. So right now you are in a big problem. When on top of that you raise your console price, which is already struggling with sales, you end up with minus 32 in sales, and the general gaming revenue drops by 9% according to the latest reports from Microsoft. Now these are the numbers that get people on the top fired or replaced, so that's why these news were not really a huge surprise, but they are very much a big deal. Speaking of Phil Spencer, he was with Xbox during its best and worst moments until today, but we have to admit that even today, under the leadership of him, Sarah Bond and Matt Booty, Xbox was struggling to find itself. Even though they bought so many studios with a huge amount of IPs, for the most part those IPs stay dormant now and unused, so what is the point if you don't know how to properly utilize everything which you bought? Even Xbox itself has IPs that people love and would love to experience them again, so it's weird when this whole corporate tango starts where balance sheet is more important than proper short and long-term goals, because they have to spend a bit more money, but even that argument falls down when you are ready to spend like $68.7 billion for Activision Blizzard, which sure, yeah, you will get the money back through IPs, but it won't last forever, it never does, and if you don't utilize those IPs fully, even if you're not doing it right now, then you're not going to make a profit. So at the time being, even though they have some promising games coming out like Gears of War, even doing Oblivion Remake was cool and all of the other games I mentioned, but alongside those games, look at how many more were cancelled, how many studios were closed. I mean, just ask Perfect Dark. They had this amazing showcase, and what ultimately happened, a lot of those titles got canned. And even games like, for example, which were a huge success, well, after that studio closed. Because for all of the people who care about Xbox and their products, they have to look into this pragmatically, because at the moment this shakeup might be what Xbox needs, but will it achieve it? Well, the new CEO has some things to say about it. In her message, Asha Sharma outlined 3 strategies she will go for. First one being that everything begins with great games, and that they must have great titles beloved by players before they can do anything. Although later on in this same sentence she sort of mentions the part of promoting Matt Booty because he understands the craft and challenges of building great games. Well, he was there during the recent issue, so I don't know, time will tell if this was a good decision or not, but yeah. Second is the return of Xbox, where they will recommit to those core Xbox fans and players who invested 25 years into it, and to developers who built these games, starting with console itself, which I assume might mean they will rethink what they have right now. And third one is reinvention of play. By this she means they will invent new business models, a new way to play by leaning into what they already have with themes, characters and worlds people love, but they won't treat those worlds as static IPs to milk and monetize. As far as AI goes, in her own words, they will not chase short-term efficiency or flood their ecosystem with soulless AI slop. Games are and always will be art crafted by humans and created with the most innovative tech provided by them. Now, a lot of what she is saying sounds good. Of course, for now you can consider it as pretty much every statement like PR. But if this is going to be the core of their business, bringing back games that people enjoy and actually, make good business models with them with prices that work well alongside all of the long-term strategies, then this could be good. But if this is not going to be the case, then they will end up with the same problem as before. Well, in that case things might get great, but look, until we see this in action we won't know. Also, layoffs wise, they said at the moment there won't be further layoffs following the CEO shakeup, keyword being that, well, for now of course, but I hope things will go well. As far as console is concerned, I think major sentiment is that a console needs to be that, a console, prioritizing what it does best first and not trying to become that plus home entertainment system. Xbox One tried that and ultimately fell on its face because marketing was just pretty much off. Now, Series X is fine with backwards compatibility. In general, it's a decent console, but if there is not really hype behind it or even reason to get it in the first place, then why do it? I mean, don't try to make a Windows PC basically, it will never work and people won't accept it. They will accept a console. The question of exclusivity is also there. Releasing on PlayStation as well brings more sales, but hinders your own console. And I'm generally against exclusivity. From the business perspective though, Sony isn't leaning, so technically Xbox could easily switch back to the old days and, keep the games for themselves. But for that to work, console has to be good, something you want to buy, and on top of it to have games, because what's the point in owning it and just look at it? She is active on Twitter as well and replies to people, doesn't seem tone deaf, but let's see where Xbox goes from here. I do honestly wish they go up. I mean, if they do, we will have good games, if they continue down the same path and nothing big changes, then all of the IPs, all of the brand strength will just disappear. And this is what I think about it. I won't judge people based on their previous work or experience in this sense, but look, I'm going to look at the results, and don't think that bringing some experienced CEO who was in most cases not even a gamer at all will provide you a better deal, because that's usually what happens in corporations as big as this one. They will not be bringing almost always someone who is, experienced in gaming. Now, of course you should if someone is gonna be running a gaming division, but it's not how things usually are. But you tell me down below, what do you think about this and where do you think Xbox goes from here? If you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing, join our community on Twitter and Discord, and huge thanks to my Patreon supporters. I will see you soon in a new video. Bye!